Hello there, car enthusiast, motorcycle enthusiast, camping enthusiast, off-roading enthusiast, all of you enthusiasts having to do with the motorsports world. We got some stuff coming up on our show today, and it's going to go down a little bit like this. Apparently, Ford is not making really good friends with some potential new Bronco owners. We're going to get into a little bit of that. Our friends at Winnebago are thinking outside of their box, if you will. Harley Davidson. We've rarely talk about someone who is near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk a little bit about Harley and the outlook for them in the future. Honda is going to stay committed to something that we have already talked about. We're going to bring it back around in full circle for you. GM ain't done with gasoline engines yet, and we're going to get into that, and all that's going to start right after this. Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast, episode 140. Say hello to my friend Keith over there, who's joining me on this celebratory episode.
Ooh. Hey, guys. Oh, I'm celebratory. I just thought of this.
Okay, what?
Side Shot's a teenager today.
What?
Yeah.
Get out, man.
Yeah, man.
See? Time flies when you're having fun. I've said this to people, my best advice to anybody starting a family, if you wait to afford children, you'll never have any.
Oh my God, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
I've had so many people ask me, well, you're a dad, man. You've raised kids. What's the best advice you have for me? Don't pay attention to the checkbook.
Yeah.
Because it'll break your heart about 2-3 years into it, man.
You've watched The Price is Right, Jay, before? Not like recently, but yeah. You know how that show works, right?
Actually, I've watched it in the past, and I got to tell you, man, I have watched it recently, and there's a reason why. My man, the host. Right?
Drew?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The Drew.
Yeah.
Man, I love Drew.
Okay.
Drew is great.
So, one of the problems I always had with that show was, when they would bring the contestants down and they would show you product and you guess.
Come on down.
Yeah, and it would be like wildly inaccurate. Like you're looking at a box of like Rice-A-Roni and I'm going, I saw that at the grocery store yesterday for $2 and you guys are saying it's $8.99.
Right. Yeah. It's just a show, man. It's for entertainment purposes.
So in true Price is Right fashion, we got some goldfish for Side Shot's birthday. Now goldfish, Jay. Okay.
Okay. Flushable, I hope.
Do you want to guess what these things cost a piece?
I'm going to go with $3 a piece.
So one is a Ranchu and the other one is a...
they have names. They have breeds now.
No, that's the breed. Yeah, it's an Aranda, I think. I think I'm saying that right. They're about $100 a piece. Fancy goldfish.
Okay.
Super nice.
$100 a piece.
Yeah, man. You got the tank
then
set
you gotta,
up like a month ago, and
you got to have an aquarium. You got to have all the stuff that goes in the aquarium.
So to your point about being a parent and waiting until you can afford it, I'm pretty sure we're in. It's over $1,000.
You're in pretty deep, dude.
Yeah,
that's just kind of how it goes.
We have 2 fish.
Yeah. It's hard. I get it. I mean, raising children, man. I mean, it's not about just the diapers, the food, the clothes, and all that stuff as they get older. It's all about the stuff in between, man. It's life. Life happens, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go to the store, and there just happens to be a. I really want to get onto these guys these planogram guys, right, in the grocery stores. They're not stupid. Right?
Oh, no.
You're walking through, cashing out. Mom's busy. She's got 3 kids hanging on them. And what do you have? You've got to walk through a tunnel of candy, right? Just to get cashed out. Yeah. And they start screaming, I want. They're grabbing. You're putting it back. And, oops, they tore one open. Now I got to buy it. And it's just, I feel for you, man. I feel for anybody who has children. I've been there.
We did the thing where we were somewhere and we bought some beverages. Oh, we were at the Amazon-owned Whole Foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took Side Shot to one of his sports practices and went by the pet store on the way home and looked at some stuff. And then we were like, well, let's just go eat dinner at Whole Foods. We went in and we ate dinner and we got the drinks. And then we went and sat down outside you can sit outside the checkout or whatever to eat. And then we went back in, but we still had our 2 cans of whatever we bought to drink. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to think like I'm trying to not pay for this. And the guilt just was like, I was like, what do I do? Because I paid for it once, right, when I came out. And then I went back in and.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I got to chug it and then, just throw it away in the store.
Right.
I felt like a criminal. I paid for it. It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Times have changed, man. You used to be able to, by the way, as a kid growing up, I grew up in a very small town and everybody knew everybody. I mean, they knew my parents, my grandparents, et cetera. They used to send me up to the store when I was like, 8 years old, 9 years old.
If you tell me to buy beer, I'm going to lose it here.
No. Cigarettes, though.
Okay. Oh, it's even better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Used to send me off with, $1 in my hand to go get a couple packs of cigarettes because back in those days, cigarettes were 45 cents or something, I think, at that time. So isn't that crazy how times have changed, man?
Yeah.
It is, And, I used to ride on the, like we have these, you have to be in car seats and stuff these days as kids and stuff, which makes total sense. I get it. I'm not against it. But I used to ride on the deck in the back, in the back seats, on the back glass.
Yeah.
And the bigger the car, that had the slanted, you could just like spread out up there, dude. It was a big deal. So
there's some parts of the country where that still
so
goes
I just
on.
Popped my headphones.
Jay
off
popped
there
his head.
This is one of those moments.
Yeah.
I need to get a longer cord.
It's the annual headphone disconnection.
First, here we are, first of the year, man, and
it's our celebratory head. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm popping headphones on. So we got a lot to get into today. We really, really do. But first, we would like to tell everyone that today, portions of this podcast are brought to you by Black Widow Power Sport ramps, lifts, accessories, gear, and much, much more.
Hey, can I give him the code?
Not time yet, dude. Just wait for the code. Let's get through this, okay? I know you're excited. I'm excited too. Let's just get through it, all right? Look, guys, Black Widow differentiates themselves by offering exclusive yet affordable loading, unloading, and transportation options that are designed and engineered to meet the needs of their power sports users with motorcycles, dirt bikes, ATVs, and much, much more. Oh, boy. Look, these guys go back to 2003. They're a U.S.-based company that is distributing their product worldwide.
I got the code.
Okay, hold on, man. Hold on. Look, Black Widow offers products that are designed by enthusiasts for the enthusiasts and offers solutions for both on-road and off-road recreational vehicles. So, Keith, why don't you tell them what they can do?
Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. Thanks for sticking with us. You can go to Black Widow's website at blackwidowpro.com.
What do I get?
Use the code GURU15. That's GURU15, the number 1 and the number 5, and that will get you 15% off your entire order. Now, that's a big deal, and we shot a video on a really cool motorcycle product, Flat Stoppers. It's out. It's on YouTube. It's their product. And you can use the code to buy one of those or anything else you find over there. Lots of power sports stuff and really good stuff. So
now is the time. Get ready, right?
We're right around the corner from everybody pulling their motorcycles and ATVs out of the garage. As weather warms up, you're going to need stuff. You're welcome, everybody. Go to blackwidowpro.com and use the code GURU15.
Okay, so thank you again, Black Widow, for the sponsorship. We really appreciate it. We'll talk more about those guys in the future, I'm sure. So, look, man, we have this list of things that we normally talk about, as you guys are used to hearing Keith and I talk on our podcast, and episode 140 is really no different, other than we're getting better and better at what we do. So, you should subscribe to this channel if you are not. Make sure you go to partscounterguru.com podcasts, or just click the podcast links or whatever. Or you can go over to youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus and subscribe there as well. And we're on every single major podcasting platform out there. So thank you if you are subscribed. If you are not subscribed, subscribe. Go tell a friend. Like us. Leave a comment. That helps. Am I right,
You're
Keith?
right. You're right. And interesting factoid for those of you that follow along, Apple Podcast is no longer, they have less than 50% of the market share for kind of the first time ever. 'Cause you have to remember, Apple invented, might be too harsh of a word. Well, the name podcast comes from iPod.
Podcast.
Right? Yeah. So
from their iPod, right? Yeah, absolutely.
They pioneered
I
it.
think
There's
so.
the word I'm looking for.
They did. Yeah, they were the first with their feet in the water for sure. So, but I'm sure something else.
Well, we're on all the other pike comer downers. You know, Spotify,
right?
You name it.
Right.
Google Podcast,
which Spotify has taken over. So there you go. Ford Broncos. Like we can't get enough talking about those guys.
Do you think this would be done by now? Did you think we'd still be talking about Bronco issues a year and change from when we started?
No, not to this level. I think you asked me a question probably 25 episodes ago. I'm going to go with that.
That's how we remember things. What episode was it?
Right. With what I thought about the future held as we're coming out of COVID and all these supply chain issues that we're having. And I think the more surprising issue for me, outside of what Ford is demonstrating here that they continue to have problems with, is the fact that we continue to have those supply chain issues. And I would have thought that by 2023, which is what we're in now, we would have seen some improvements there. There are some, but it's like when you open the door, product goes out, and everybody's been waiting forever. So all the product goes away again. Then next thing you know, you're out again. It's like it's starting from scratch from a forecasting standpoint, right? Because nobody really knows, and they're not interested in putting their entire budget on the line, not knowing how people are going to respond to it. And so I think that factors into this as well, which is that, I'd rather sell out, and not have enough to sell than be sitting on a bunch of stuff I can't sell. You know
Imagine this. Imagine going back in time 5 years, because this is a show about time travel, Jay.
Right. Yes, it is. Yes.
Well, in a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of way, I guess. DeLoreans are time machines, and we're automotive based. So. Yeah. Anyway,
absolutely.
Going back to a board meeting at whoever, Ford, GM, Toyota, although Toyota seems to have been less impacted because they were using. Yeah, we're okay. Anyway, yeah, right.
Don't
okay.
even. Yeah.
But 5 years ago,
man.
having a board meeting with Jim Farley or the previous Jim, who I'm not sure who was in charge 5 years ago, and saying, "Good news, bad news, everybody. Good news is." 3.5 years from now, we're going to completely sell out of everything. We can't make cars fast enough.
Right.
That's going to be the good news. Bad news is we're not going to hit our numbers. And at that time, you would probably be, as a board member, going, so wait a minute, we're selling cars faster than we can make them, and yet we still can't turn the profit we should.
Right.
I just, what interesting times we live in, right?
We do. This is we've said this on previous podcasts, that the way we purchase vehicles, the way we shop for vehicles, all of those things are completely different than what they were before. So just throw it out the window. Forget about it. Your dealerships that you're used to being able to, hop down to the, end of the road or wherever it's at on your main highway into your town, if you got a dealership or a few dealerships, they're going to look different in 5 years. I really think that we are not finished with this whole conversation.
We are seeing
about
that unfold, I agree, in real time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got some things going on. So what are we talking about here? Ford has obviously been on the rough end of the stick, if you will, in rolling out new vehicles. Okay, they had the Ford Bronco Sport that came out. Actually, the Ford Bronco Sport came out with a lot less of a problem than any vehicle that they've recently rolled out. And I think I know why that is, because they're using the same platform that they had been using for years, which is tried and true. And they just, widen the body a little bit and make it look a little different than what it was originally designed for. And that's how they got away with that. But this Ford Bronco, the full-size Ford Bronco, was a completely different animal from anything that they had done before. And in a lot of ways, I should say, not anything, but in a lot of ways, some things that they were doing were a lot different. But Ford has basically sent letters offering a $2,500 deal to customers that are tired of waiting for their ordered high-end type Broncos. In other words, certain packages that Ford seems to continue to have trouble with fulfilling those orders.
Hold on one second here. Hold on.
Yep.
I hate to say I told you so.
All right.
Did we say that? Did I hear echo
Jay,
in the room, man?
Do you happen to know what components are in those higher end orders? So Ford offering everybody two options: do nothing and continue to wait at your place in line, or take this $2,500 check, change to a different package
Right.
that doesn't have there's two main components that I got out of this that they're trying to steer people away from. What would those happen to be, Jay? Do you know?
Yes. So one of them is a molded-in colored hardtop, which, what did they do before? To get the orders out, they offered their customers, hey, just switch it to a soft top. We'll get you your ride, and then we'll make good
The
on it
hardtop
later.
thing has been an ongoing problem for these Broncos for over a year now. And they still don't seem to have a good solution, and that is not good. Now, look, I love these things. In fact, I tried to order one. Hey, Jay, do you remember why I opted to cancel my order? There was a specific thing that I wanted. Do you remember what that was?
Yes, I do. You wanted manual transmission with the larger engine.
engine.
I hate to say I told you so.
What's the other thing, Jay, that they can't? Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Exactly, which is what they refer to as the Lux package, that will allow you for more extreme adventure driving, which is why you buy the thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, why else are you buying a Ford Bronco?
So the people that want the larger engines it's taking longer to get those delivered. And I always felt like, nothing against the smaller one, but if I was going to go manual transmission, which I really, really insisted on, I was not going to take the smaller engine. I wanted the bigger one.
Right. Which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an off-road enthusiast and you're buying this for what it's truly designed to do, that's what you want. And Ford my mind is blown from a marketing standpoint why they would even go there. Now look what trouble it's gotten them into here. And so the show must go on. And, basically Ford is encouraging those people to, if you don't cancel your order, they're giving you a window of opportunity. So they say that customers may also choose to apply this rebate, and I think you already said that, Key, to a Ford Escape, Bronco Sport, Edge, Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F-150. And the reason why they're saying that is because the supplies of those vehicles are very healthy, and they're available to take home. So the rebate offer, they say, combined with moving to lower price Broncos, does cut into their profit margin a bit.
Which isn't great.
That.
And look, I do think they'll work this out. I mean, nobody does it better right now in this era than Ford. Ford is the biggest. They've got it figured out. I honestly think Tesla is going to be a little bit in trouble from a performance, in their earnings call, because once Ford got into the EV game, it put a dent in Tesla's sales, so to speak.
Sure did.
Ford has this dialed in. Yes, they're not perfect, or no, they're not perfect, but I do think they'll get this worked out. I just think it's a sign of the time, so to speak. Like the fact that they haven't been able to resolve this in the year and a half that we've been talking about it is a new thing. It's concerning. 5 years ago, Jay, this would not have gone on in the automotive industry for a year and a half. Would you agree with that?
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Somebody
man.
would have been fired 5 years ago if this was still going on.
Oh, absolutely, man. So Cadiz, I think it's his name, who is he's a spokesman. I'm going to go Gian Cadiz is what I'm going to go with. It looks good to me.
Sounds, sure. Okay.
Yeah, right. After that says that they are trying to do what is best for the customer, which I appreciate it. And, Ford continues, Jim Farley says that. They're all about the customer. And I don't disagree with that statement that Ford has their customer in front of everything, and I do believe that because of the way they conduct business on most occasions. There are some questionable moves that I've seen, but most occasions they do. He says at the end of the day, they're going to get them close to the Bronco that they wanted or that they like. And look, they've sold over 200,000 of these things. They invite them to downgrade to their Bronco order, cancel their reservation for a refund of their $100 deposit, cancel and reorder for a 2024 model to try to find a Bronco on a dealer lot, or they can switch their order completely to another model and apply the $2,500 in a lease purchase program. So that's a lot to take in. Go, okay, well, I've got a lot of options here. But if you are a hardcore, I wanted a Bronco, then guess what? It may be 2024 before you get one. You may have to reorder it, and they're encouraging that here. In other words, they're being very transparent.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, transparent. That's not a Freudian slip. That's a Barkley slip.
I got a pretty good dang old idea what's going on. I tell you what, man,
Love it, man. Boom hire. Hadn't heard him in a while. But yeah, they're pretty transparent about this thing. They're not like lying to you. They're saying they can't.
They're making
get it
an
done
effort.
for you, man.
They're making
Right?
an effort to not only fix the long-term problem, but to come up with a short-term solution. It's not perfect. I think some people will take it. We'll take them up on that offer. There's people that maybe aren't let's go to Moab for the off-road rally and, beat this thing up.
Right.
They are more pavement star type people that, may never take it off-road. And some of them may take them up. It's fine. Like, there's different strokes for different folks, right? But in the end, they've still got to come up with a long-term solution. And, hey.
And I still kind of want one.
Me too.
But I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the air to clear a little bit because I'm waiting for that manual transmission.
In the
with
meantime,
larger,
we'll bring you
engine.
an update when and if it happens, and I'm sure it will. So get busy, Ford.
Yeah, absolutely. Whew, Winnebago.
One of the 2 or 3 left standing in the large scale,
Winnebago.
large RV manufacturers.
They're thinking outside the box.
They have been for a while.
Am I right? They have.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think of when we last talked about it. I was thinking that we had already talked about this. I think we mentioned it in a podcast, but we didn't per se have a video on our YouTube channel specifically related to this particular story.
I mean, I will if Winnebago wants to send me one, or let me drive it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody from Winnebago
Heck yeah.
picks this up. I'm an avid RVer, and
we may know somebody in the industry that might be able to help us out. We shall reach out to you guys.
So big RV show in Florida. It's the Super Show. I need to get in on this. Like, that's the time to go to Florida in January. I don't know exactly where they had the show, but they unveiled a concept. Now this is a concept. It's I would consider it a Class B. It's a van platform.
Yeah. Very similar to what you might see, say, the Sprinter vans.
Right. Well, it's the Ford Transit chassis, and Ford is working.
Yep.
They have an electric version of that, so it makes perfect sense to try to integrate Ford's electric transit platform into an all-electric, and I think it is all-electric, at least in the concept, Class B.
It is.
And they call it the ERV2. I don't know why it's a 2. I guess they've done this before.
Well, they had the ERV concept. Remember?
That's the one you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, we touched on it. We didn't provide a video to our listeners out there. Which, by the way, if you're listening to this for any of our videos that may come from this podcast or any video that we may shoot, please ride on over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Parks County Gurus. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a like, and then give us some comments and love.
I learned a new term in reading about this thing. So basically, like we said, van platform, kind of in the style of a Rivian in the sense that you can run everything in the RV off of electric. Now, that's kind of a big deal because until now, there were things like the cooktops and maybe the water heater that you had to use some sort of other fuel source, whether that be, propane or what have you.
Propane.
Now, you cannot run, and this is a problem that no one has solved yet, the air conditioner on these things effectively, like overnight.
Yeah.
Without external power.
Right.
You got to plug it in.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not there yet with the technology or the capacity for you to be in a battery.
So
itself. It's not. Would you say this, Keith? Before you get into this deeper, would you say from an RV standpoint, say a Class B like this, right? It's not so much as it is the range, as it is what it can do for you once you get to where you're at.
Yeah, I would. Well, it depends.
Battery storage.
I mean, you kind of just touched on something here. It depends on, and this is a big. So we're having a conversation as a family right now. If we can't get the deal to work out on the Class A that we're looking at, do we wait? Do we do like a Bronco owner? Do we look at other options? Do we go get a Class B for a year and then flip it? And so, to your point, it depends on you and I have talked about this because you've thought about looking into them. What do you want to do with it, right? Like if you're just going to go up in the mountains where you live for the weekend, that's less than 100 miles. And it's a destination like Dave does with his Jeep, right? If you're going to travel the country and tour the national parks, that's maybe a fifth wheel or a Class A or something like that, or a bumper tow. It's a different, that word RV, it's like car, right? There's so many different cars.
Yeah. So many, absolutely. There's so many variants.
So I think it depends, right? To answer your question. I mean, it depends on what you're going to use it for the most.
Yeah, and see that's one of the bigger problems that with this that they're having is that the Ford itself does not have a very the E-Transit does not have a really
108
range.
miles.
The estimated range is about 108 miles. But I think they'll figure that out at some point. But for now, if it's a range of 108 miles, and let's say, like you just said, we're going to the mountains, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to an RV park that has electrical hookups.
Well, it's got solar panels on the roof, so
it does. But as far as keeping it, ready to charge, go when you're ready to go, it's you could run off both that and
sure. It is clear to me that Winnebago is counting on the automotive industry to solve the range problem. Now, maybe that's like Optum Batteries or somebody like that who we saw, at SEMA that did like the tow behind battery pack, or maybe it's a third party.
Right.
But
or it's GM. GM helping them out with their Ultium platform, which they're able to stack and increase range in that manner. I mean, they
just said
reports of 500 miles.
They just released this product expecting that you'll never get this one. This concept will never be built as it was designed. But in the future, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, somebody will have a range solution where this is viable. I mean, it's got 1,800 watts of solar panels on the roof. Jay, you helped me put in my previous RV. I think we had 800 watts total.
Yeah, it was
3 panels,
and you said that it really did the job.
It's a lot. It would run. Yeah. I never had to run the generator in the summer with the fridge run. Now I can't run the AC off it, but yeah. So we'll see where this goes. We're one step closer. To being really off the grid, completely self-reliant.
Absolutely, I think so. Now, Here's what we also learned with this is that Winnebago is really interested in feedback from their consumers. So they are launching a pilot program in Florida, California, and Washington State, where their customers can test out. Some people can test out.
Why are you still here, man?
And offer feedback.
Why are we still talking?
Right? When I found that out, I'm like, wow, that would be very
seriously
cool. You know,
like. Are you on their website
I'll-
filling out the application yet? Do you need me to give you a minute?
Right. I need to check it out. I need to see what it's all about, man. We'll get in there and see. So, but yeah, way to go, Winnebago, man,
like
for
innovation
thinking outside of the normal box. Absolutely, innovator, go
Yep.
home, right? That's what we've always been said. And speaking of innovation, I don't know how much I agree with this or not, but this is kind of near and dear to me because I am a Harley owner. And when I say Harley owner, I'm talking about, pre-evolution motor. I got an old Ironhead, and it sounds a lot different even from the evolution. But Harley Davidson says it's going all electric, and I mean they already came out with the the Livewire, and I kind of laughed at it, really. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Right.
Should they be doing this? But, we just had a special guest on recently, guys, Neil Chin from Chin Edition, who is also the marketing director for Electrify Expo. Go check that video out, if you will, on our YouTube channel, as well as listen to that podcast on our website at partscounterguru.com. He talks about how heavy, because we were asking about Electrify Expo, what does it entail? He goes, everything. I mean, we're talking scooters, motorcycles, RVs, cars, you name it, everything.
The fact that I haven't been online to submit, access request yet.
Right.
I can't wait.
That's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. But Harley says that it wants to go all electric. It needs to happen, is what this is exactly what they said. That its CEO just basically said, Harley Davidson's EV transition needs to happen, and not in just one small scale, not with just the Livewire.
The whole Harley brand. I think there's a little bit of it's a little clickbaity.
It is, but I dug a little deeper into this, and you go ahead and you make your point.
They're going to do this, and their intent is to do this, just like when GM, who we're going to get to in a few minutes, said a couple years ago that they're going all electric. And then we said, but not in 10 years, not like you're saying, right? And you've said that repeatedly.
I was asked. Again, you always ask me to look in my crystal ball, and you specifically asked me, do I think that can GM hit that mark by then? And I said no. And Neil Chin, the other day, he is also in agreement. We're just not there yet, but we got to work towards that common goal. You got to start somewhere.
And so if you kind of peel back the layers here, Mr. Zeitz tells the interviewer, he's like, it might take a couple decades. I mean, we're going to get there. Well, that's what's going to happen because the old Harley enthusiasts are never going to go for this.
Right.
You have to wait for the new crowd that it's not as disturbing for them because they don't know. They weren't exposed to traditional Harleys, if you will.
In some of their market strategy, where they're going after here, when you talk about going all EV, their consumer is not even born yet.
Right.
Bottom line.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Can you fault Harley for thinking outside of where they're at now? Not at all, because I have personally seen the trends on the Harley Davidson side where most of their demographic are late 40, early 50s, mid 50s men.
Well, they're expensive bikes.
That are making 90 plus thousand.
You're not.
Exactly. And let's face it, most people, and I got to reiterate this, so don't get mad at me, all you guys that are getting out there in the rain and riding these things to work, even in the wintertime. God bless you, man. You are hardcore. I get it. But the average person really gets these out for seasonal rides.
Sure.
And typically it's only on the weekends, a couple of days, maybe at the most a month. I have friends of mine, though, that are hardcore, and as soon as the temperature gets above 45, they're on it.
Well, those guys are sleeping with that wallet on a chain, too. Yes,
they are. Yes, they are. Absolutely.
The other thing that they don't really say here, which I think may be their strategy, is this may not... See, we have this myopic... Oh, it's just because Harley Davidson's a Milwaukee, originally a Milwaukee. Fonzie. The Fonzarella.
Right.
The Fonz wrote a... Right? That was there was a reason for that, everybody, because that's where they were built.
Right.
So they had him ride a Harley because that was kind of the bread and butter of Milwaukee. Anyway, I digress, right? We get trapped into this thinking as Americans that sometimes, they're going to introduce it here first. Maybe not. They may test market this in parts of Europe and see how it goes.
Right. They may, in fact. Look, Harley Davidson's CEO stated that he says, we're thinking, how do we evolve? And if you think really long term, this won't be an overnight transition, but they have to evolve into electric vehicles because it's a situation where they're targeting different consumer profiles, right? I just said it early on. We started talking about this. They've got to start thinking about, say, Sideshot.
Yeah.
Does Sideshot have an interest in owning a Harley Davidson at all?
Probably not. Now, he's got a Yamaha.
But that's a different animal. What he's doing on that Yamaha it's off-road. Yeah. It is not a plated bike on highway vehicle, right? You could in certain parts of the country.
Sure, you can ride people
those.
do it. They call them dual sports.
Yeah. Right. But, so he doesn't have any interest in Harley right now. But I'm telling you what these guys are, what Zeitz is saying here is that they are targeting people like Sideshot. They're looking at the demographic going, okay, what's going to attract more into our wheelhouse? You got to start looking at the demographic. And your hardcore Harley riders, I think they're going to be dwindling. I think that you're seeing enough of a change in how the demographic has changed towards moving into that, what they call carbon-free zone, which we all know or zero-emission zone, which we all know that they are not completely zero emissions. They might be at the tailpipe, but not
right.
fully. I think that they've got to start somewhere. But I gotta say that Harley is looking at that down the road, that 15 years, that 20 years down the road.
You want to know how I know you're right? Because this isn't the first time they've done it. Because look at the Sportster. Look at the models that they've introduced in the previous 20 years that they keep sneaking these more stylized, more aggressive, lower center of gravity bikes in.
Right. Well, the Sportster's been around for a while.
Right, but the redesign. I'm talking. But the redesign of it, where you see the really super short version of that, where you're flat-footed and your knees are up in the air. It's so low, almost like a low boy. And then they got the 41 style and all that, where it's super retro, and you can do so many different things with customization on these things. But I get what you're saying. They were targeting a different audience at that point, where your hardcore guys, they're the ones riding they've got the ape hangers right
the wide glides, the Dynaglides, the Fat Boys, street glides.
Now, bonus trivia question, and I don't know this, and I'm not fast enough on Google to be able to find it, but they did a model in the early 2000s, and it was very futuristic looking. It almost looked like something out of a Terminator movie.
That's the V-Rod.
Yeah. Wow, you win. Okay.
Yeah. The V-Rod was actually at first it didn't go over too well until people rode it. It's actually a really awesome bike. not my style because I'm a cruiser guy. I like a cruiser. I like to just kind of lay back and just enjoy the ride and not necessarily. I like to go fast when I need to go fast, but that's not why I'm getting out there and riding the thing. It's I ride to enjoy the ride and not feel rushed where I'm going.
It's still around. They've changed it a little bit. It used to be even more futuristic looking than it is now.
Yeah, I called it like the Tron mobile.
Right.
Man.
But look, my point is they stepped into this environment of trying to appeal to younger riders all the way back as then. I mean, that's not that far back, but this is not the first time that Harley has said, how can we do things and create product and release product that appeals to a younger crowd? So there you go.
Right. And that when they released that was in the height of the, like the Valkyrie coming out. Harley was looking for, to kind of expand their lineup a little bit to get that demographic as well. People who like to have more of a Euro style, a Euro look. Maybe the crotch rocket guys. I personally was never one of those people. I don't care for that ninja style bike at all. Again, even the V-Rod is for me. I wouldn't buy one. Would I? If someone gave me one, would I take it? Absolutely.
Well, again, it's just like the RV.
And would
thing.
I ride one? Sure, I would.
What is your intended use, right? Are you going to do track days? If you're going to do track days, then you want a super sport. If you're going to do trips, if you're going to take longer trips, if you want a cruiser, you want something that's comfortable over, 150 miles. I mean, I've got a Ducati Monster that even that thing, which is a little bit more of an upright position than a super sport, it gets you sit on that for an hour, you're ready to take a break.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, whatever Harley does, I'm sure there'll be a T-shirt somewhere involved. Which, by the way, again, Harley Davidson was almost dead.
Right. Yeah.
And then they had someone come, they changed their whole marketing strategy and decided, what, we can make a ton of money if we do something with our apparel, our gear, and our service centers. And it was a win-win situation for everybody. Even those who don't ride the Harleys, they just want to buy a T-shirt. And, let's face it, that's not a bad marketing strategy.
Sure, Jay. Posers have money too.
Help make ends meet. Yeah, they do, man. Yeah, hey, posers put chaps on too. They may not be riding with them, but they put them on.
Yeah. So wow.
So
I don't know, man,
here,
but we need to go quickly because I just opened a bag of controversy there.
All right. So the last topic of today.
But this is kind of a there's more topic, right? Because we got like 3 or 4 things rolled into one here.
Well, it is, and I think it ties in together. Look, let's just get right to it. GM just announced that they will be making a new small block V8, which will be the Generation 6, I believe. I think Gen 5 is still it was the last one.
But wait a minute, GM's going all electric. We've previously established. How can this be, Jay?
Exactly.
How can this be? I mean, what I really mean to say is...
What you talking about?
But then Bert would say...
I hate to say I told you so.
Exactly. And Keith and I have been saying this, man. You can't... GM, what are you doing? You're telling everybody you're not going to make gasoline engines anymore. You're going all electric by 2030, 35, whatever the date was. Again, Keith, you asked me again, pull your crystal ball out, Jay. What do you think? And I'm like, no, ain't happening. Ain't happening. We are not near that yet. And GM sees that. Just as Ford did. They came out with the Godzilla V8, right?
And there's another component of this, too, that even though you did predict this several years ago before the pandemic, I don't think we could have foreseen this one particular aspect, which is, okay, back to the Bronco thing. They can't make these cars fast enough. So GM is rapidly expanding their EV production plants. The Ultium thing is an endeavor with LG and their battery plants. They're building one in Spring Hill, Tennessee, close to me. It's not done yet. It's massive. They're doing several of those around the country. That takes time. It takes time to spin those up. It takes time to retool the factories.
It does.
And they have looked at this and said, yeah, we're not going to meet we can't make that many vehicles by just going down this path alone. So we got to have a solution. Right. Well, what is that? Well, we've done engines forever.
Right.
We know they sell.
Keep doing them. Yep.
Let's continue that until we don't have to anymore.
Right. And you just came out with the C8 Corvette, which is their mid-engine version. They had gone through 7 generations of front engine, rear-wheel drive, and then finally go to the mid-engine, rear-wheel drive to the C8. It doesn't make sense to kill that baby off that soon, right? Because if you look at previous generations, they range anywhere from, say, 9, 10 years each generation to, say, 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. So this kind of makes sense. But how do they get around what they said they were going to do, Keith? How do they get around it? Okay, we're going to invest $854 million to build this thing, this gasoline engine. But what are they building it for? What do you think?
Because they looked at the Hawaiian shirt gold chain sales on the past quarter and realized there's still a viable market there. I don't. Please enlighten me.
Which, by the way, the new C8 Corvette is the fastest production Corvette ever built, and they're not going to kill it off after a year, right? So, how do we keep that promise to our consumers that? And by the way, we're going to change our logo to
started.
Right, to lowercase, and make it appear as if we're going all carbon neutral and emission free just by a logo. That makes a difference. But how do they keep that promise that we're going all electric by 2030? We're not going to build any more. How can you get away with that when you've got a flagship sports car out there? Well, in 2025, GM announced that Corvette will be its own brand. That's how you do it. That is exactly.
So you're going to have kind of what Ford did with the Mustang brand. Although
correct.
Ford kind of half dabbled in that, which, I mean, at the time it was a risk. GM sat back and looked at it and said, oh, yeah, okay, we can spin off this Corvette thing and have an EV Corvette and a C8 Corvette and a, various, built. Why not? And GM has had a very long history of being option heavy. And by options, I mean crazy amount of specifics you can customize on those vehicles. Go online and look at the Corvette customizer, the options that it's insane the amount of like specific things you can have a hand in, color wise, package feature wise, all of it.
Right. You're absolutely right. Now, rumors had it that, and I think that we're close to it. I think we're going to see more of this year to come out, which is that there is going to be an all new hybrid Stingray, which is going to be called
admitted
E-Ray.
that much. I mean, I'm
they're
still a little
doing
pissed that they didn't go with my anglerfish.
I know, man. That was a great name. It was a great name. But the Angler, that would have been great, man. I love it. Yeah,
it's got the little light bulb hanging off the,
Yeah, and then so they're going to continue to go on too with the SUV version, from what I understand.
Well, look, Jaguar did it. Land Rover's always been an SUV, but Porsche with the, they have several models now. I mean, Lamborghini. Yeah. I mean, when Lamborghini got into the SUV market, there was literally no reason not to, right?
Right. Now, look, we just talked about generations. C6, C7, C8. All right. My expectations are this engine, when they...
Do I need to record this so we can play it back later, by the way? Oh, wait. We already are. Okay,
Put this in the
B file it under B for Bert.
I told you so for Bert. Yeah. B for Bert. I'm thinking, there's speculation that they will go to a new generation and that this engine will be in that new generation.
I'm gonna do, this is something that almost never happens on this show. Never.
Right.
Just rare. This is like that one baseball card that had the misprint out of every 1,000, right? And if you get your hands on it.
Yeah.
And only the people that are subscribed to this show are going to catch this. But this is one of those rare instances I may take an opposing point of view with you. I think they're going to continue with the current C8, and they're going to offer this engine in perhaps a hybrid or a different model. Maybe it's an SUV. Maybe it's I don't know. They got something up their sleeve that they're not talking about.
Yeah.
And they're going to run simultaneously for a while.
Yes.
That's my
my
take.
I think that's absolutely 100% a possibility. I believe that. But I just don't think that you see them. They won't kill the C8 right away, and it will it'll run for a few more years. But I do think that there will have to be a generation change when they get to that next level. Now, here's what I did find out, though. They are stating that this is a fact, and we said this for all of you concerned Bowling Green, Kentucky employees at the Corvette plant. GM is committed to keeping that production there. With the hybrid, as well as the SUV, all of that is going to be right there in Kentucky still. The $854 million that GM is committed to this goes to the production of that engine only, and that's going to be in Flint, Michigan. I think they're going to have some spinoff plants for maybe like connecting rods and those sorts of things in other areas of the country, which is very, very common for these guys. Could we see another gasoline Cadillac? I don't know. The Blackwing was one and done, right? The CT5, whatever it was.
What about dropping it in an SUV Cadillac?
CT5V Blackwing. Could be. That's a good point. I mean, could there be? Because that's an interesting point you bring up, and here's why I say that. Because if you notice what Cadillac was doing, they were kind of in parallel with what Corvette was doing from the performance side, right? Could Cadillac come out with a performance SUV like the Corvette SUV? That's
back to a previous point I think that you made, we are not there yet in terms of having heavy SUVs that can go EV and provide the range. It's too much weight. Even the trucks, the half-ton pickups that they're doing right now, they're not that heavy, and
adding batteries adds weight.
I just don't.
And until they get this whole, if they can go to a solid state battery.
Well, that's years away at best.
We're years away.
So those Escalades, the big heavy ones, the big SUVs, like we're not there yet, nor would I expect, I'll go on record as saying this, that's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. And I'm trying to think of, because even if we get into solid state, they've got to ramp that up. It's going to start with the lighter stuff first. And it's just, I don't see that. I don't see that being a reality. I think that Cadillac's not going to stop selling large SUVs anytime soon, and those large SUVs are not going to be EV anytime soon.
True. And let's see where gasoline is at in 2 years.
I mean,
price-wise.
But if you're buying Cadillac, you know.
No. Well, what I'm saying is from the motivation of moving, how to sell units of electric vehicles.
Yeah, right.
Fair point. Let's face it, the jury's out. I mean, it's been proven that you can save some of that's crap ton.
Some of that's
money.
Economy dependent, right? So
absolutely it is. But right now, if you ask a customer or a consumer, would you go to EV? And if you had to choose between the two, financially, what works best for you? And if you're a commuter, EVs are probably
Well, but in better economic times, you've got a big RV, which is a luxury item that you wouldn't have, and a lot of people don't buy in tighter times. It's an extra, option.
true.
And then you got to have something to pull it with, right? And so those are things that are
Right.
niceties that you do without. A lot of people do without when the getting isn't good. So it's
Right.
economic dependent, I think. It does bother me to this day that we keep calling things SUVs that aren't, like the Cadillac Lyriq or the Tesla Model X.
Right.
I mean,
right. Absolutely.
guys, go look it up. SUV specifically says in the dictionary it's built on a truck platform. Thus, it's
That's
got to
it.
be built on a truck platform to
absolutely-
be a real SUV.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. So there you go. Wow. Man, oh man.
Yeah,
good?
I mean,
Man, I've got more.
before I
we can
start
talk
stir
all
up
day.
another controversy, I guess we are.
Yeah. We better roll. Look, guys, I just keep your minds open because that's what it's going to take. Just be open and just understand that a lot of this stuff is not going to happen overnight. And the fact that they're saying this, that, by 2030, don't get in a panic mode because we all realistically know that that's just not going to happen. So let's watch these guys go through some growing pains, and they will continue to do that.
There
So,
have been several interesting generations of automotive product in the past decade. And I think that's the fascinating thing to me, and probably to you too, Jay, is the amount of advancement that we are fortunate to be able to see. We're watching Moore's Law kind of unfold in real time. And I love it, man.
Right.
Like, I love the fact that there are electric cars out there and bikes and, e-bikes and one wheels and all that were
I like
literally,
yeah.
Futuristic devices in movies 20 years ago.
We are exactly right. I love it. You've heard me say this tons and tons of times about, we're both Trekkies, man. We love Star Trek. We love Star Wars. We love all these sci-fi things but we're using things that came from those movies that we thought back then as a kid going, man, wouldn't that be cool to have a communicator, right? Well, we have one every day now. We can do more on our smartphones than we could have done on a very expensive computer 10 years ago.
Apollo lunar lander, right?
Right.
PLEM.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so crazy to me, man, where we're at. So just be open-minded, guys, to technology. It happens, and not all of it is good, and not all of it works out. But I do think that some of it will, and you got to throw spitballs on the wall, and that's exactly what the automotive industry is doing
Speaking
right
of
now,
generations and Star Trek, do you know?
Yeah. No, what?
So
what?
I'm not sure when this podcast will air, but
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, as we record this, the final season of Picard comes out.
Oh yes,
February 16th.
That I know. And which, by the way, I am 4 episodes away from the last season of Discovery.
Okay, so that would be season 4.
Right, and that ended in, I think, January of 2022.
Yeah, now wait, are you saying you're into season 4 and you're 4 episodes away from the end, or you're 4 episodes from starting season 4?
No, I am 4 episodes from the
Okay,
end.
you're about
I'm
3 or
like
4 ahead of me now. Congratulations, you've passed
Yeah,
me.
I'm about
That only
7,
took a year.
I'm about 7 into the 4th season. Yeah, so it's
I know, it's
fantastic,
mind-blowing, right?
man.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. So I am so glad, by the way, and this is, anybody who has listened to Keith and I forever know that we don't come without some technical difficulties that we run into occasionally while we're recording. All I got to say is I am so glad that you have your backup device recording me right now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You catch my drift?
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you all about it later in post, brother.
All right, then. This will be a good podcast, everybody. 140 out with a bang.
This is awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, today, and again, thanks to Black Widow Pro for sponsoring portions of our podcast today. So,
all right, yeah. I'll add this in the closing moments here. Thanks for making us a part of your lives as always, everyone. Please remember, if you like the show, tell a friend. The best thing you can do for us to help us promote this podcast is to leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening to. You don't even have to type. Just give us 5 stars or however many the most is. And if you can't give us the most, email Jay, and we'll address your concerns.
And stay tuned because we got some banging cool stuff coming. So,
in the words of Ken Block, this might be the first time I've dropped one that you knew was coming. Be creative and live a fun life, and don't be an asshole. For my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. Thank you guys for listening and possibly watching. We'll see you on the next one.